and foreigners also like to acquire houses and flats to live here. People of Vilnius who can't imagine living elsewhere but the old town try to settle here as well. The elements that remain speak to us, telling us, look at us by the eyes of people who lived here long ago. These reminders of the old architecture, like amber inclusions, hold the light through layers of time. If you decide to stay at the Grothus Hotel and take a glance through the window, you feel like you are in a fortress. Yes, really, it is a fragment of the town wall. When its defensive function became weaker, the houses were built beside the wall on both sides. The hostess of this hotel, the Baroness Edita von Grothus, says that she has had many opportunities to live in some castles of Europe, but she feels a peculiar natural harmony between the past and the present day, only in Vilnius. After coming from Germany to her aristocratic ancestral land, she bought the old and neglected house. There, under some layers of plaster, the restorers uncovered original elements of decorations. Nowadays, there are many hotels in the old town. Each of them has its habitual guests and visitors who like to return again and again. Maybe it's that invisible magnetic aura covering everything that is created with love and care that attracts them. The story of each old townhouse and yard is the history of Vilnius. In the 16th century, the Alumnatus was here, a spiritual seminary established and maintained by the Pope of Rome. The Renaissance and early Baroque architecture relives that contemporary European culture and new philosophic thoughts that reached Vilnius at that time. The University of Vilnius is the oldest university in Eastern Europe. The Jesuits established it in 1579. Fires and wars repeatedly devastated the university, but the old building always revived to a new life. In order to look around the entire university ensemble, you need a little more time. It consists of 12 buildings with 13 smaller and larger yards. It is the university library of rare manuscripts and books. On its upper arcs, a Baroque composition depicts St. Mary, the ward of the Jesuits. This hall was rearranged in a classic style when the Enlightenment epoch began. In the ideological spirit of that time, the famous artist Franciscus Smuglevičius decorated the wall. Unique European literature treasures are on display here. Among them is the first Lithuanian book, the Catechism of Martynas Mažvydas. The largest yard is named the Skarga Courtyard, after the first university rector, Petrus Skarga. This is the yard for university festivals and ceremonies. The arcades of Italian Renaissance endow the square with the antique majesty. The St. John Church and its bell tower possess sacral majesty. The Baroque of the St. John Church is a creation of the Vilnius Baroque genius Jonas Kristupas Glaubicas. During the second half of the 20th century, when the church was rebuilt, the great central altar was also restored. It is a rare masterpiece of the Baroque era. The majestic bell tower is one of the highest buildings at 63 meters in Vilnius Old Town. If you like travelling or having vacations in wintertime, come to Vilnius. Yet you will not get cold, because Vilnius is so much fun. Here you see the merry Shrovetide, when people drive winter away. If you visit Vilnius in the beginning of March, you will see the Kazukas Fair. Masters of ancient trades and folk art gathered to Vilnius from all over the country. The Lithuanian-Polish prince, the patron saint of Lithuania, Casimir, is thus being commemorated. The Pope Adrian declared him a saint in 1522. The 4th of March is called Saint Casimir's Day. If you look over Vilnius from above, your attention will certainly be drawn to a crowned dome. It is St. Casimir's Church, the first Baroque church in Vilnius. It was the Jesuits who thought to construct a church reminiscent of the famous Jesus Church in Rome. The nobility of Vilnius of that time generously supported the construction. The churches of Vilnius have survived the same offences and ascents as have the people of Vilnius. After the 1831 uprising, the Tsarist authorities closed down the St. Casimir's Church and made it into an Orthodox church. During Soviet times, a museum to atheism was established in it. Now the church hosts both prayers and concerts. There is a Jesuit provincial centre and a Jesuit gymnasium adjacent to the church. Many architectural styles coexist and interchange in Vilnius. Gothic, Renaissance, Baroque, Classicism, historic and modern. The European trends reached Lithuania later, but already mature in their ideas and forms. Ahead of us is a masterpiece of Rococo, an ensemble created by the architect Globitz. The Uniates Gate. Beyond this gate is the Church of the Holy Trinity and the whole history of the Uniates. We've partway done our walk in Old Vilnius. It's time for lunch. If you call in on any restaurant, you will be able to continue your acquaintance with the old town. When independence and private business returned to Lithuania, Vaclavas and Enrita Kontrovsky decided to open the restaurant Ida Bazaar. In the ambience of the national surroundings, one could try both Lithuanian traditional dishes and dishes from other countries of the world. Culinary specialists from various foreign countries create the Ida Bazaar recipes. At this time, the winner of many international culinary championships, Friedrich Walter from Stuttgart, presents a new menu for journalists. It is a matter of honour for the citizens of Vilnius that tourists should make acquaintance with a city on the world's cultural heritage list and find that culture in all aspects of life, even in the service field. Let's go on with our Vilnius Baroque excursion, the ensemble of the church and monastery of Saint Spirit or Dominicans. It is late Baroque architecture style. Why did the architects and artists of that time like to create such playful and even theatrical church interiors? Maybe they tried to cheer the depressed people's souls. You can find the answer when you descend to the underground vaults. They are witness to the times when epidemics of plague and typhus raged in Vilnius. The remains have endured like mummies, influenced by the dry weather in the underground vaults. But the great palace of the abbey unfortunately did not make it to our days. Each time, after the fires and wars, the monks would restore it, but it was shut down after the uprising in 1831. Now the Church of the Holy Spirit has been given back to the Polish Catholic parish. Many tourists and art lovers come to Vilnius, especially to view one monument of architecture, the St. Peter and Paul's Church. Its founder was the Lithuanian hetman, Mykolas Patsas. Praying that God help him win the battle against the enemy's army, he promised to build one of the most beautiful churches. And he kept his promise. The church is called the Pearl of Vilnius Baroque. Over 2,000 stucco works and figures crowd the vaults, representing mythological, biblical and battle scenes from the New Testament and the history of Lithuania and of Vilnius.
What's happened to your love? What's happened to... The
first day of May 2004. Lithuania and its capital Vilnius celebrating the country joining the European Union. Lithuania does not come to Europe like a novice, but it returns to Europe, preserving everything that is dearest, its traditions and culture. All the cities in the world become similar by the glass and concrete skyscrapers, modern construction buildings. The cities differ and attract tourists only by their antiquity. In the 14th century, Grand Duke Gediminas addressed all European countries by letter, inviting handicraftsmen, merchants and knights, all people of goodwill, to come to Vilnius to live, to build and shape the city. Vilnius has always been known for its tolerance of religious opinions and the culture of different nations. Orthodox churches appeared in the 14th century when the Duke Algirdas governed Lithuania. His two wives, the first Maria and the second Juliana, were Russian. Both wives took personal care in the building the first Orthodox churches in Vilnius. In the most ancient Russian churches, Gothic elements are still visible. When Vilnius was merely one of the regional centres of the Russian Empire, but not the capital of Lithuania, all those churches were rebuilt in Russian Neo-Byzantine style. Tourists by all means tried to stop by the Orthodox Church of the Holy Spirit and the nearby abbey on Aušros Gate Street. This was the only acting abbey during Soviet times. The architecture of the Catholic and Orthodox churches differ very much, but you won't find very great differences in the Church of the Holy Spirit. Its projection has been the form of a Latin cross, with a cupola and two towers. This is Baroque style. It shows a huge influence of the Baroque coming from Western Europe. A most interesting way of strolling through Vilnius Old Town is having no purpose, except to go where the labyrinth of narrow lanes takes you. At this corner of Old Vilnius there was the first glass shop and a marketplace. Many shops surrounded the vicinity. It was the Jewish quarter. Unfortunately, during the Holocaust, almost the whole Jewish community was condemned to death.